All we're saying is you can't carry a gun in town.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
For years, Tombstone thrilled fans with its action and unforgettable lines, but there was something most viewers never figured out at that time. Now, Sam Elliott has finally spoken, revealing a quiet detail that changes everything. His heartfelt confession leaves a deeper, more emotional mark on every fan who thought they knew the full story. Join us as we uncover what this revelation is all about. Untold truths about Tombstone. When Tombstone began shooting, Sam Elliott was excited to play Virgil Earp. He believed in the story and felt proud to join the cast. From day one, he watched director Kevin Jarre work his magic on paper. Jarre had a strong voice, he shaped lines, cast the actors, and even chose every detail, like mustache styles and spurs. Elliott admired that vision and was happy to be part of it. But almost right away, Sam knew something wasn't right on set. By the 3rd day, he realized Jarre was struggling. The shots weren't coming together the way they needed to. Instead of close-ups and energy, Jarre leaned into long, old-fashioned wide shots, great for classic westerns, but out of place for this take on the story. Elliott could sense the tension building. He saw Jarre refusing help, even from the seasoned cinematographer William Fraker. Jarre stuck to his vision, but the result wasn't working. Sam's concern came from a place of care. He wasn't trying to criticize, he adored Jarre's writing. He loved how the script drew each character, and he believed in its cast. To Sam, Jarre's script was something special, but seeing the direction fumble, he couldn't stay silent. He understood that if the filmmaking didn't adapt, the heart of the story might be lost. The sadness from casting and crew was real when Jarre was dismissed after about a month. They cared deeply for Jarre, and he had created this world they were all set to bring to life. Losing him was like losing the captain of the ship. It was difficult, emotional, and heavy. With Jarre gone, trust hung in the air. George P. Cosmatos came aboard, but he had only a few days to get up to speed. From the cast's viewpoint, the crew needed more direction than he could offer alone. It was then that Kurt Russell stepped quietly into a leadership role. He began meeting with everyone, focusing on streamlining the script, and even writing nightly shot lists to guide Cosmatos. Sam felt supported through this tense moment. He joined the push to save the film, backing Russell's behind-the-scenes guidance. For a character like Virgil Earp, losing parts of the script hurt. Sam wished there'd been more depth and connective tissue for his role. He admitted that, had he known they would cut nearly 30 pages, my glands, connective scenes and emotional moments, he might have turned the role down. But he stayed, because he believed in the movie and in the people making it. Elliott felt that the cast and crew rallied for Jarre and each other. Kurt's energy and determination became a beacon. Sam remembered how, despite the chaos, Kurt focused on finishing the story with integrity. He made sure scenes kept their emotional punches, especially the bond between Wyatt and Document. Through all this, Sam remained fully in character. Even when George Cosmatos shot reshoots and snipped scenes, Elliott held tight to the essence of Virgil. He quietly slipped some dialogue back in, protecting those moments that helped the audience feel closer to his character. In post-production, there was more hustle. Cosmatos and the team oversaw a massive reshaping of the film. They restored emotional beats, upped the color, and enhanced tensions. Yet Elliott's scene still reflected his commitment. His quiet strength is woven into the final cut. When Tombstone finally hit theaters, Sam looked back with mixed feelings. He was proud of what they achieved, but still felt that Virgil's full potential wasn't fully shown. That sense of what could have been hung with him. He knew he'd given everything, even though the film had shifted from Jarre's deeper vision to a sharper, more action-driven story. Yet Sam never regrets staying. He stood beside his cast family, trusted Kurt's leadership, and helped bring a film they all believed in across the line. Now, you might be feeling a little lost about how all these actually unfolded. Well, don't get too lost because we're getting into full details about how everything happened. So, Stay tuned. Kevin Jarre's firing and script problems. Many people do not know that Kevin Jarre, the original creator and director of Tombstone, began the film with an ambitious vision but quickly ran into trouble. Once filming started, he hit a snag. His approach closely mirrored old-school westerns. He favored sweeping, master shots with very few close-ups, and was stubborn about keeping every detail just so, right down to how characters walked and wore their spurs. But this throwback style didn't mesh with the fast-paced demands of modern filmmaking. The movie was already behind schedule and over budget, all while racing toward a Christmas release deadline imposed by Disney. By the third day, even Sam Elliott was skeptical. He saw that Jarre was struggling to capture essential shots and couldn't balance his roles as writer and first-time director. Cinematographer William Fraker also reported creative clashes, as Jarre resisted any suggestions. This tension put the whole production at risk. After about a month of falling behind, producer Andrew Vajna and others decided they couldn't wait any longer. Jarre was let go, no farewell, and little time to adjust. Guiding Tombstone back on track became a team effort. Actors like Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer, Michael Biehn, Powers Booth, and Sam Elliott thought of an idea around the goal of saving the movie. They understood its potential and didn't want Jarre's departure to affect their work. George P. Cosmatos was brought in on short notice to direct, but Russell immediately stepped up behind the scenes too. Russell and producer James Jacks trimmed nearly 30 pages from Jarre's original screenplay, cutting subplots and background moments, to sharpen the focus on the key relationship between Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday. This change didn't sit well with everyone. Cast members quietly called the reworked version the Kurt and Val Show. Suddenly, characters like Virgil, Sam Elliott, Morgan, Bill Paxton, and others had much less time on screen. Their richer backgrounds and emotional moments had been shaved off. What was once a big ensemble, exploring family and shared values, became a more focused brother bromance with intense action and dialogue aimed at the two leads. Sam felt the sting deeply. He loved Jarre's original script, its warmth, depth, and subtlety. After nearly 30 pages were removed, he said he'd have probably declined the role if he'd known how little Virgil would matter in the final cut. Sam and a few other actors even took matters into their own hands. They quietly slipped some of their favorite lines back into scenes during takes, small acts of rebellion to bring their characters back to life. The tension reached a moment that everyone couldn't endure one evening at a bar. Sam was nursing a beer when someone came and told him that he should have played Wyatt. Sam looked over, his expression soft and knowing, then said simply, "Tell me about it," before taking another drink. That wistful exchange conveyed more than any monologue. His longing and disappointment were clear. Fraker was so stressed that he actually tried to leave the movie 3 times. The arguments got so heated one time, he and Cosmatos literally rammed 2 golf carts together out of frustration. Some crew members thought about quitting or were even let go. By the end, 17 people had left over Cosmatos' strict way of running scenes. Yet, Fraker stayed, convinced by producer James Jacks and his own love for the project. He told People, "If I wasn't happy with how it looked on screen, I wouldn't have stuck around." He certainly kept calm because he knew that behind those fights and rifts, a real movie was shaping up. Meanwhile, the film's budget started to blow up. What began with a $25 million plan soon went past that number. The clock was ticking toward a Christmas Day release that Disney insisted on for maximum box office punch. This made every day feel like a race. To make the deadline, they had to reshoot big chunks of the movie. Jarre had shot a bunch of scenes, most got tossed aside, except for a few bits like those with Charlton Heston. Cosmatos added new sequences, including an elaborate opening wedding and extra action at the ending. The days on set stretched into long, exhausting shoots. The team was constantly scrambling to rewrite, replay, and recreate shoots that had to fit the new, tighter vision. By the time the shoot finally wrapped, after 88 intense days around the end of August, everyone was spent but relieved. The production had gone over time and over budget, but the cast and crew felt proud. Fraker himself said if the final product on screen satisfied him, that meant they'd succeeded. In post-production, editors had to race to meet the Christmas release. They rushed through cutting scenes, polishing sound, and trimming unnecessary footage, all under immense pressure. The result was a film stripped of its earlier, sprawling ideas. Cosmatos focused heavily on action and speed. Much of Jar's original footage, except small pieces, was left on the cutting room floor, and the final, Tombstone, that hit theaters was leaner, sharper, and driven by intense energy, more of a modern Western blockbuster than Jar's deeper character study. Yet, from the chaos emerged something memorable. Aside from physical fights, Tombstone experienced certain rivalries that only those within the crew knew about. So, if you've never heard about it, it is the time for you to do so. Box office rivalry and Kevin Costner's NFL. When Tombstone was gearing up for release in 1993, another film about Wyatt Earp was already circulating, Kevin Costner's Wyatt Earp. This set up a fierce showdown at the box office. Costner originally was asked to take the lead in Tombstone, but he decided to focus on his own version instead. He strongly believed his project should be all about Earp himself, not a group saga as Tombstone was shaping up to be. Once he shifted gears, Costner became a powerful force in Hollywood, one of the most influential figures at the time. He reportedly went around to major studios, urging them to pass on distributing Tombstone, and even worked through his agency to block the film's path. His efforts all but shut down Tombstone's chances, except for one holdout, Disney's Buena Vista, which decided to move forward and distribute it. But Costner didn't stop there. In what some later called a costuming land grab, he reserved most of the Western outfits and props in Hollywood to hobble Tombstone's production. This forced Tombstone's crew to search overseas for period attire. Ironically, they found the wardrobe in Europe, the same place the real Tombstone's wealthier townsfolk once bought theirs. Even after all these obstacles, Tombstone pushed ahead. Kurt Russell grabbed the lead role and watched the film's brave crew adapt and innovate around Costner's blockades. They reworked production plans, sourced costumes abroad, and stayed focused on getting the movie made. Once released on December 24, 1993, Tombstone stunned audiences and critics. Built on a modest $25 million budget, it earned over $56 million in North America alone, eventually grossing more than $76 million worldwide. It beat expectations and firmly established itself in Western movie lore. 6 months later, Wyatt Earp premiered with high expectations. Costner's version clocked in at a bloated $63 million and ran nearly 3 hours. Critics found it slow and joyless. In fact, legendary critic Roger Ebert said it felt like they pumped Tombstone full of hot air. Its box office felt the sting, earning only about $55.9 million globally, leaving it short of its budget. Even Costner admitted he regretted going head-to-head with Tombstone. He later said the rivalry was a misstep he wished he'd avoided. Reddit fans have had a lot to say about all this. One popular thread summarized, Costner tried to blacklist Tombstone and hoarded all the Western costumes in Hollywood. Yet, Tombstone came out stronger, made more money, and left Wyatt Earp in its dust. With this huge win, we realized that what really stands out is how Tombstone overcame these aggressive tactics, studio blacklisting, costume shortages, and production sabotage, to connect deeply with audiences. It wasn't just luck. Kurt Russell and the team hustled, found creative solutions, and focused on delivering a compelling story. Speaking of creative solutions, let's unveil some of the creative ways Sam Elliott handled his role. What we never knew about Sam's role. Many people remember Tombstone as a thrilling action movie starring larger-than-life heroes. For most, the names that shine brightest are Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday and Kurt Russell as Wyatt Earp. Kilmer's sharp-tongued gunslinger and Russell's confident sheriff completely dazzle the screen. Their performances are heartfelt highpoints that get all the applause, and it's easy to see why those two characters stand out so much. In contrast, Sam Elliott's role as Virgil Earp often gets overlooked. His character tends to fade into the background when people recall the film, even though he's a key part of the family. Most viewers remember the brotherhood and the gun battles, big, exciting moments, and think the story is all about conflict and camaraderie among Wyatt, Doc, and the rest. Those are what made the movie famous, after all. But if you look a little deeper, a softer and richer layer starts to emerge, one connected to Virgil's quiet